Before we jump into the video, I want to talk to you guys about something that I'm hoping to keep brief, but I can't guarantee anything just yet. It's a couple of amendments from yesterday's video in which we talked about a lot of the different changes, or non-changes, I guess, within the most recent update to World War II. We ended up getting another one today, actually, as well, but it did not fix anything that we're going to be talking about in this little pre-video recap. But just in case this takes a little bit longer than I'd hoped to, I'll toss a timestamp up on screen for you guys so you can jump to the meat and potatoes of this video, but I wanted to make sure that this stuff gets out there because it is relatively important to me. Out of yesterday's update, there was a massive rumor going around that the FG42 was something that was secretly buffed and became this god gun and everything like that. I saw plenty of videos about it, plenty of tweets talking about it, and what you're seeing in the background right now is literally the frame-by-frame comparison. The frames are identical from the point in which they start to which they end. It's an exact match from what you see right now in the game build compared to what it was when it was initially nerfed a couple of weeks back within the Winter Siege event. It's exactly frame by frame identical. There has been no buff, nothing like that to the FG42, so it's just placebo effect if you're thinking that it's better than what it was a couple of days ago. Right now, it's just a bunch of misinformation going around, which is kind of unfortunate. I like to keep it as down to earth, as true as possible, so I wanted to let you guys know about this one, and then also a little bit of a correction to yesterday's video talking about collections. That was something in which I had mentioned you can still get variants and everything from supply drops and that the collections still start to chip away, but whether it's a bug or if it's intentional, right now if you were to complete a collection, you wouldn't actually be able to get that top tier collection item, which is kind of unfortunate. I'm hoping it's fixed or something like that. There was once again that brief little playlist update that went live today, so maybe that fixed it. I haven't come close enough or completed any of these other collections to know for certain if that's what it fixed, but it's something that right now, as of my knowledge and your corrections from yesterday, that's something that is either bugged or intentional, that it's still locked off, but you can still get items out of supply drops specifically. So just a little heads up, but now back to the regular scheduled content. So within World War II, we've talked about a lot of different things. We've talked about weapons that work great. We've talked about class setups that work great. We've even talked about some basic trainings that I think you should totally try out if you have not. But today I want to take a little bit of time to talk about the one basic training that I think is insanely good and potentially borderline OP in some situations. As well, there's a follow-up one or two that I want to discuss as well further on in the video, but I want to let you guys know about what I think is probably the best basic training at the very moment, and that's something that outranks things like primed, requisitions, hustle, forage, and a whole bunch of other different basic trainings that may be those meta basic trainings. This one right now, you might even be able to guess it, is Lookout. Now, for those guys that don't use Lookout and don't really know exactly what this is, we detailed it a couple of times here on the channel in brief passing, and I think in a little bit of a showcase once again a couple of weeks ago. Lookout at its core ends up allowing you to have a larger mini-map, or really more vision on your mini-map. Everything is a little bit smaller, but you have a lot more vision in the area and the amount that you can see on that mini-map compared to somebody that does not. But as we mentioned within that showcase video that we did, this was something in which it also had a secondary ability that isn't necessarily known as much, and that is to be able to see enemy names across the map. The enemy names appear at a farther distance than that of, once again, if you would not have it. So this basic training is all about that information you can gather regarding the map, the flow of the map, where players may be, and by using both of these to your advantage, I think that they're insanely useful. If you're somebody that likes to play methodically within World War II, this is one that I would definitely suggest to you guys if you have not tried it out already, and that's simply because, once again, you gather so much information about the map in the match at hand just by using this and that extra added ability if you check your mini-map, if you check your scopes or your peripheral vision or anything like that at any point in time during the game. Assuming you don't just jump right into the action and you don't go head first just rushing in, even knowing that sprint out times aren't the greatest within World War II, if you sprint into that action and such like this, you might not necessarily care all that much about having all the information on where players may be, but for those people that like to play a little bit more strategically and like to maybe take it a little bit slower than those people that just rush in entirely, this is where you're going to really thrive with that sort of playstyle. And I'm not saying you can't get aggressive and you can't push these spawns or you can't push enemy territory or anything like that, but it's something in which you want to take a few brief seconds to think about your move rather than just jumping right into it. And that said, Lookout allows you that opportunity, whether it be something like you're seeing in the background gameplay on Gustav Cannon, where you can see the names from across the map at almost any point in time, or if it's something like Ardennes, in which you just use that mini-map to offer yourself more general focus on the lanes that weave in and out of these central locations and side lanes of the map so that you can see, say, if somebody's shooting, where they're at specifically physically instead of just a blip on the outer edge of the map without Lookout. And I think one of the best parts that I love about this the most is the fact that it differs from various different perks like this in previous titles. If you guys probably remember, if you've played some of the classic CODs, the perk Marksman allowed you the same ability in which names showed up from different areas across the map and at much farther distances. It was a great asset to have if you liked playing that long game, but the difference was that the names were enlarged and allowed to be seen at a farther distance when you were aimed down sight. With Lookout, it's a little bit different because all you have to do is just see their character modeled from across the map at any point. You don't have to be aimed down sight, you don't have to be even half scoped or anything like that. All you have to do is simply see them on the map and their name will appear. So in particular, what you're seeing in the background, once again, Gustav Cannon is a fantastic example, probably almost the perfect ideal situation for this map to begin with. And I think it's probably best suited with snipers as is. So you can get that quick jump on somebody at a distance instead of just having to spot them with pinpoint precise accuracy and then quick scope. It allows you that, once again, half second or so to spot them maybe before they spot you. But Gustav Cannon, coming back to maybe that perfect example, is that you can end up seeing whenever you go in certain situations, if you look over the top of the Gustav, there is of course that obstruction of the railings and everything like that at the edge, but if you end up just peeking your head over, you can see into the spawns in which the names will pop up, to which you have a general idea of how many people are there, where their relative location is, and maybe if they're on the move, you have a general idea on where they might be. So once again, if you're going for those sniping shots, it makes it incredibly easy to just have that extra information on where you can get your crosshairs and placement ready, so you might have a quick jump on them, even if they might be scoped into where your exact position may be. If this was something like Marksman, you'd have to be scoped in to see where those names would show up, which offers you, once again, a little bit more time, probably about a half second to a second more, in which you're vulnerable and out in the open, essentially, to a sniper that's ready to give you a haircut with a bullet. And of course, like I said, Gustav is probably the ideal situation to see the effects of this on. Other maps might not be as friendly or rewarding for that certain thing, but the combination of both these, once again, it just comes down to the information the situational awareness allows you to have within each individual match that you end up playing. So with that, I think it might be the absolute best basic training at the very moment. Now, like I said earlier in the video, I was talking a little bit about some ones that might come into a close second or something like that, in which I was trying to test out some different play styles and some stuff that I normally would not, and one that came into my class setup for a certain period of time was Instincts. Now, this is one that you probably recognize if you actually play around with this. It's very similar to two things that we've seen similarly, that being firstly in Black Ops 3, the original of that, this being Sixth Sense in Black Ops 3, but what it almost identically mirrors is that of Perception, the FTL ability within Infinite Warfare, in which you end up, if somebody is looking at you, getting this yellow indicator from the direction in which they can see you on your HUD and on screen, which gives you, once again, a little bit more of a heads up if somebody might come into contact with you. Chances are they're not going to be shooting at you immediately. It's more so one of those things that if you round a corner, you might have it for a second or two in which it's like, well, there's somebody there. You might want to get your heads up for this one. But again, like I said, a lot of the times in which that I used it, it was something that more so just alerted me to somebody in that general vicinity that was looking in the general direction of me. They weren't necessarily shooting at me. But of course, with some certain playstyles, I play very rushy and in the face of enemies, so it does also happen in which that indicator isn't all that useful because I'm dead as soon as it shows up. But that's one of those things that, again, it comes down to how you play with this intact. But getting back to the topic at hand, I think that probably the best basic training at the moment is, in my books, hands down, Lookout. I'm a huge fan of different things like Hustle, like Primed, like Forage, but right now, Lookout to me just offers so much more in terms of, once again, that information I can use to perceive the game in a way that is so much more advantageous than that of any other basic training. Of course, it is nice to have the ability to put extra attachments on or something like that, or in a sniper class, maybe it's an overkill with a submachine gun or a rifle, but when it comes down to the bare bones of it, I feel like I can do a lot better with just that information and being ready for gunfights compared to having to react via other basic trainings. So that said, that's gonna wrap it up here at this one. I would love to get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. Do you guys agree with me here that Lookout right now is probably the best basic training within World War II, or do you have a completely different basic training in mind? Whatever it may be, though, it's of course completely and totally cool. There is no right or wrong answer. I don't think it just comes down to personal preference. But if you guys have not tried out Lookout, try it out for yourselves. I guarantee that you will love it, or at least hope that you guys will love it. That said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video as well. If you guys did, make sure you drop a like down below. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe, stay updated with everything we have here regarding Call of Duty World War II. Best tips, tricks, class setups, news, information, all that good stuff. We got you covered here up on the channel, so if you guys enjoy any of that, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you do not miss a single thing. And finally, if you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, that's the best place to get connected with me outside of YouTube. Practically live on Twitter, so if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description below. But all that said and out of the way, hope you guys had a fantastic day. I'll see you guys later. Mine is an espresso. Thanks for watching, take care, and peace.